Good afternoon. On behalf of the Board of Education, administration, students, teachers, and staff of Harmony-Imsey School District 175, I would like to welcome each of you here today. I want to start this afternoon with a few thank yous. First, I want to thank Ms. Robin Dermody and Ms. Crystal Lunds, who recognized the need for expanding our early childhood program in the district and took the initiative to push through and write for the extension of the grant. I would also like to thank our pre-K team, who works tirelessly to provide the services for our students and families within our community. Because of this additional funding, our district has been able to expand our services to meet the growing needs of our community. Research has shown how vital early learning programs are in the long-term success of all students. The resources that have been provided by the state are essential to our ability to provide and meet the needs of our learners. At this time, I would like to welcome one of the individuals responsible for increasing the funding and providing these much-needed resources to our school, Governor J.B. Pritzker.
Thank you very much, Superintendent. Thank you for your amazing work here and for leading a team that really does care about our youngest children. I have to say, this is my favorite topic. So if I smile a lot during this and I go off script, it's because I care a lot. And the kids who are going to benefit from the work that you're doing, you already know, are going to have lives that really will exceed people's expectations, and having more kids exposed to that early childhood education and the programs that we're putting in place and that you all are expanding is making a real difference for the future of our state. So I want to thank everybody for coming this morning, and once again, good afternoon. And I'm delighted to be here with a group of people behind me that are also engaged in these very important tactics in order to get the kinds of results that we want for our children. Of course, our Lieutenant Governor, Juliana Stratton, our State Superintendent, Tony Sanders, Mayor Patty Gregory, Belleville parents and teachers. We're here to celebrate the great strides that we've made since just last year towards expanding early childhood education. My partners in the General Assembly, and it really is a partnership, and even across the aisle, we worked together to deliver a groundbreaking plan called Smart Start Illinois, which we passed last year. It began with a more than $250 million increase in investment across birth to 5 programs, including $75 million for preschool expansion through the state's early childhood block grant program this year alone. And we immediately went to work with a first-year goal of expanding preschool spots available to 3- and 4-year-olds by 5,000. Well, the Illinois State Board of Education has already exceeded that goal by helping create and expand 95 programs around the state, resulting in not 5,000, but 5,823 brand new preschool seats, every one of which is valuable for those children, for their parents, and for our futures. That's 15% more than we promised for just this year, vastly exceeding our first-year goals. All of those programs were in preschool deserts where parents previously had long waiting lists or no preschool choices available at all for their kids. And 59 of those 95 programs are brand new programs in places where none existed before. Between the newly opening programs and existing providers, we will have over 82,000 publicly funded preschool seats available across the state, more than ever before. My proposed increase in investments in the early childhood block grant over the next 4 years will entirely eliminate early childhood education deserts for all 3- and 4-year-olds in Illinois by 2027. For our very youngest, Smart Start is also expanding access to prevention initiative programming and evidence-based home visiting models for families with babies and toddlers, 0 to 3. By adding 26 programs across the state, 17 of which are entirely new. Now, I got my start more than 20 years ago in early childhood education, and particularly started focusing on 0 to 3 because it's the most neglected area. Let's face it, there was already a universal preschool movement for 4 and 5-year-olds, but 0 to 3 just got left out. And so that really is the area where my excitement level raises even higher, but we're making progress in all of these age categories. We're also vastly upgrading quality childcare across the state because it's vital for both working parents and their young children. But for too long, childcare has been either unavailable, unaffordable, or both. And our old reimbursement system, the voucher system, was just too unpredictable and made it difficult for childcare providers to invest in retaining and growing their staffs, resulting in fewer placement options and parents being left to fend for themselves. So Smart Start is a first-in-the-nation plan. $130 million of child care workforce grants are providing a much-needed solution to stabilize and grow the child care sector, allowing existing and new child care providers to give even more families affordable quality care. Again, this is baseline funding for child care providers so they don't have to close their doors if in some given year there are just fewer kids that are showing up because parents have some other way to care, perhaps during that year. That staccato funding that they were going through was really causing the uncertainty for parents in years forward after that and for the child care providers themselves. So now we are providing stable funding and the ability to attract more kids, have more capacity, and do more for our very youngest. But that's not all. We're also invested $40 million in early intervention services. One of the leading members of the state Senate who cares a lot about this particular line item came to see me before we had announced the plan, and she said, we were funding, I think, at about a $12 million level. She came to see me and she said, you know, I insist we have to raise funding to $24 million. And I said, well, let me pull out the sheet of paper that's sitting on my desk to show you that we're proposing not $24 million, but $40 million for early intervention, because there are so many kids that don't get the kinds of services they need, who, if they just had those, that we could prevent a whole lot going forward and give them, you know, a terrific opportunity to excel in their educational experience. So I'm pleased to say that that funding in early intervention services will allow thousands of children to overcome developmental challenges, and it'll allow families to maintain access to these critical services, all while giving providers a much-needed 10% rate increase. It had been years since they had seen a rate increase. And Smart Start added $5 million in funding to reach many more at-risk families with home visits, a crucial program that promotes child social emotional development, reduces domestic violence, and supports overall health. Best in the nation in all early childhood services, that is our mission for the state of Illinois. Best in the nation. I won't accept less than that. It's why in October I proposed we consolidate the state's early childhood agencies so that we're simplifying parents' access to all of these services. They shouldn't sit in multiple departments with parents having to wander from one to another to find those services. Let's make it easy. So we're easing the burden on providers, and we're promoting equity by bringing those services together and making them more easily accessible. And with Smart Start's extraordinary success in our first year alone, I have no doubt that we will be triumphant in our mission to be number one. At the end of the day, Smart Start is about all of our futures, not just the littlest kiddos in the state, but all of us. It's about where Illinois is going. And I want to make sure that everyone understands why this is the right kind of investment and the best return on investment that we can make. It's about making sure that parents have the support that they need to raise a family and giving our children the resources that they need to succeed. So with that, I get to turn it over to a champion for children, for working families, my partner in governance, our Lieutenant Governor, Juliana Stratton. Juliana? Thank you so much.
Thank you, Governor Pritzker, for that warm introduction and for your leadership in making Illinois the best state in the nation to raise a family. To Mayor Gregory, it's great to be back here in Belleville. To Regional Superintendent Costello, Superintendent Nail, and of course Principal Lunds, I will echo the governor's thanks to all the dedicated educators and leadership of Ellis Elementary School. You do the hardest work to ensure our kids get the education they deserve. Our administration's guiding purpose is to uplift the working families of Illinois, especially in communities that have often been left out or left behind. And while there's still so much work to be done, I am so proud to be part of a team that upholds its word. As policymakers, we know that investing in our children's starting years yields the greatest returns. When we educate our children, we set off a domino effect. Education leads to opportunity, which leads to prosperity, which leads to stability, and so on. And that's why Smart Start Illinois remains our priority. You see, good government puts the people at the forefront of policy. Maybe you've heard the saying that having a kid is like wearing your heart outside of your body. Well, as a mother of 4 daughters, I certainly feel the truth in that. As a working mother, I know what it's like to need support and nurturing with the 4 hearts that live outside my body. And I wouldn't be here if it weren't for educators and early child care workers. These professionals, who are predominantly women, and as we look around the state, disproportionately women of color, deserve proper resources and support. Because every day when our children walk through their doors, we are trusting them to watch over our hearts. Smart Start is a promise to early child care professionals. We need you, we trust you, and we value you. Smart Start is a promise to parents. We know how hard you're working, and we have your backs. And Smart Start is a promise to our little ones. You deserve a bright future, and we believe in you. Thank you so much for welcoming us today. I'm now pleased to welcome our next speaker, a dedicated leader and educator, State Superintendent Tony Sanders.
Good afternoon. Thank you very much, Lieutenant Governor Stratton, and thank you for your commitment to the children across the state of Illinois. I also want to thank the governor again, our education governor here in the state of Illinois, J.B. Pritzker, for all that he does to support the children across the state of Illinois. If we give him another round of applause. A month ago, I was here visiting Belleville Township High School district and had an opportunity to visit the cave, where I went upstairs and I saw the new early childhood center that's being developed, not realizing I would be back here a month later meeting the staff that actually put that together in a high school district through the unique partnership between an elementary district and a high school district to better serve your community. For that, I want to give special recognition to Superintendent Nail. Thank you for your friendship and your partnership, and thank you for taking the lead here in this new district for you this year. And also recognize Principal Lunds for your hard work here at Ellis Elementary School. Today, we're celebrating an enormous milestone on our journey to make Illinois the best place in the nation to raise a family. The goal starts with preschool, affordable, accessible, high-quality preschool for every family in Illinois. Thanks to the $75 million investment of state funding by Governor Pritzker and our General Assembly, and thanks to the hard work of our staff at the Illinois State Board of Education, nearly 6,000 more children across the state have preschool today than they did yesterday. We are exceeding our goal with this first round of funding to expand access to preschool for more children. And we're awarding grants to existing preschool providers to increase program quality and to increase the pay of our talented and dedicated early childhood educators. We are well on our way to completely eliminating preschool deserts and closing the gap in access to preschool across the state of Illinois. As you know, preschool is where children and families form their first relationship with school. Through guided play, children experience the joy of learning new skills. They develop perseverance and resiliency. They learn to cooperate, to problem solve, to cope with emotions, and like we should all be doing, learning to negotiate with others. What children learn in preschool creates the essential foundation for them to excel in learning for the rest of their academic life. Every child deserves to have this strong start in their life. That's what we're celebrating here today. This is a victory for Illinois and for this nearly 6,000 Illinois children who will benefit. And we're not done. We're going to keep working until we transform every preschool desert into places where all of our youngest learners have a chance to thrive. Thank you all so much for being here today. It's my honor now to hand it over to Principal Luntz, to our next speaker.
I am so excited to have the opportunity to speak with all of you today about our preschool program and the hardworking people that make it so successful. I have been so fortunate to be able to directly observe the positive impact that our program has had on so many families. Beginning at the age of 3, parents are able to begin the process of enrolling their child into the preschool program. The recent announcement of grant approval has allowed us to expand our program here at Ellis by 33% and enroll 70% of the students that were previously on our waiting list. We have a highly qualified team of professionals that work hard each and every day to meet all of the various needs of every single one of our students. They assist parents in navigating challenges, finding resources, and supporting the early learning of all children. Exposing students to a rich and diverse curriculum at a young age has proven to close academic gaps and improves social-emotional learning. We are so thankful for the opportunity to increase the number of families that will benefit from the early support offered by these vital early childhood programs. Thank you to the governor and to all of those who are responsible for making this program accessible to our students and their families. I would now like to invite Governor Pritzker back up to the podium to answer a few questions.
Happy to take any questions from members of the media. Yes, sir.
Republicans said that you could afford this. With these new stats, have you been able to bring some of them across the aisle to show this works?
Well, I hope so. We'll see this year because we're introducing a new budget for next year that they'll get to vote on. So far, they voted against every education budget that we've put forward. And so I think that they're also missing the boat when they say we can't afford it. We have balanced the budget for 5 years in a row and run surpluses. Now, you can't do that all the time, but we've been doing it, and this is after many years of running deficits in the state of Illinois. So we've invested in education, specifically in the best area of education to get the greatest results and returns for the state, early childhood. And we've done that consistently. We're going to continue to do it. In my opinion, it should be one of the highest priorities for our state for many years to come until we have every single child in the state of Illinois whose parents want them to be in a preschool program, and that there are no deserts left. I hope that I'll be able to get help from Republicans in making that a reality. Yeah, go ahead. Why not? Yeah. Well, I think you may have seen that he only got about half the votes of this is the base of the Republican Party that shows up in a caucus, especially when it's minus 25 with wind chill out, right? These are, truly dedicated people. Again, the base of the party, he got half the vote. So half the vote went with somebody else. Now we'll see what happens in the contests going forward. And whether all the candidates are still in it over 4, 5, 6 different contests. But I will say I think it connotes weakness, and I think that we're seeing more and more the results of very positive economic trends in the United States as a result of the policies of the current president, who has brought manufacturing jobs back. I just came from an announcement of some of those, who has brought made sure that our country is growing its workforce development, investing in education, and I will say importantly, this president cares about working families. Like, you can feel it when he talks about people. He cares, genuinely shows his empathy every single day. That is not something you see in the Republican leadership, and particularly the guy who's leading the Republican PAC for president. Oh, I think Joe Biden will beat any of the three candidates that are still in the race. Why? They all stand for the same thing. And I said it in Iowa. You know, you can have the original version with the former president. You can have, the MAGA version in high heels, or you can get the MAGA version with lifts in his boots. But they're all, if you literally go down the issues that really matter to the American people, they're all wrong on all of them. They want to take away Social Security, Medicare. They stand against raising wages for workers across the United States. These are folks who want to take away women's individual freedom to make choices about their own bodies and reproductive health. These are not stands that I think that the vast majority of people in the United States would vote for. So I think Joe Biden, because of the stands that he's taken, because of the kind of person that he is, and the bipartisan nature of the major legislation, rebuilding roads and bridges, bringing manufacturing back to the United States, he brought people together. I think all of us, no matter which side of the aisle you sit on, want this country to be closer together, working together to get things done. That's who Joe Biden is. None of the three of those candidates on the other side would do that.
What are your thoughts on the early days of the assault rifle ban? We understand an underwhelming number of people have registered by the January 1st deadline. I know local law enforcement has said for a while that some of them aren't going to enforce it.
Well, don't miss the headline here. You can't buy an assault weapon or a high-capacity magazine in Illinois today. That's the headline. That's the bill that we passed. Now, as to people registering the guns that they already have, we've had quite a number of people do that. I know that people want to say, well, there are 2.4 million FOID card holders. 2.4 million people do not own assault weapons. First, they're expensive. Second, it's a fraction of the 2.4 million people who have FOID cards that have an assault weapon, many of them having multiples of them. And third, the rules hadn't really been approved until yesterday by the committee in the legislature. So now that all of that is said, I actually feel very confident that we're going to have the registration process working the way it should. And again, don't miss the big headline. You can't buy an assault weapon in the state of Illinois. So people who are intent on doing harm to other people and have been able to go do that nearly immediately in the state can't do that anymore. Thank you.